Well, we mentioned earlier in the broadcast that we got our PPI numbers out this morning, and by and large, the numbers reflected a slower rate of inflation than what the trade had been looking for. So now one has to wonder, is that going to kind of put the skids a little bit on the hike in interest rates that we have grown accustomed to or not? The market trying to decipher what to do with that. And as we take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now, in the wake of those PPI numbers here, it's not doing too much this morning. It's kind of quiet. We have the March futures on the Dow now 14 points higher, and we're now at 34,034. So just kind of holding status quo here on the Dow, at least so far this morning. Now on the dollar index, it has been showing signs of weakness today. And you have the March futures now at 101.545. That's down basically about 600 points on the day, so that could be significant there. And if you look at the West Texas Intermediate crude oil market, well, it's really starting to perk up today. Now, February futures are quoted above $82. We're at $82.01 per barrel, and now we're up $1.83 on the day. Now, on the grain markets, we had pressure overnight. But as we got into our daytime session here this morning, and by the way, we did not have any overnight export sales to talk about. As we got into the daytime session, things started firming up a little bit, and now it's starting to ease back just a little bit. So after gaining 2 or 3 cents this morning, March corn is currently trading just a half cent higher. We're now at 6.85 3/4. Well, now we're about 3 cents off of that earlier high this morning, about in the middle of our trading range here today so far. On the December corn, that new crop contract, we're now at 6.04 3/4. Well, believe it or not, we're actually a penny higher on the day. Now, on the soybean trade, you have the March down 7 3/4 at 15.32 per bushel. This has been a real yo-yo affair on the soybeans. They've been higher, they've been lower, they're chopping around all over the place. So right now they're kind of taking a nosedive on the nearby contracts. That new crop November soybean contract, right now we're down a nickel. We're at 13.88 1/4 per bushel. Then you get to the wheat, and we're all over the place there too. In Chicago, March is a penny and 3/4 higher at 7.53 1/2. And in Kansas City wheat, you have the March contract at 1 3/4 higher, 8.57 1/2 there. July, by the way, is 2 1/4 higher. Spring wheat in Minneapolis, you have March a penny and 1/4 higher at 9.17 1/4. Had big gains this morning in the cotton market early on, and look at them go. March up 291 points at 85.73. December 213 higher. We're at 83.64. Chris Swift is with us. He's with Swift Trading. He's based in Nashville. So a real seesaw affair going on here in the grain markets today. Is anybody coming out a winner today, Chris?
Good morning, Marlin. Probably there are, but really we haven't seen a great deal of price movement yet that would lead us to believe that we're going directional. We're stitching to bust out to the upside or to the downside. But the things kind of that we noted, it's raining in Argentina, probably going to produce a record crop in Brazil, and with some of the aspects of the U.S. new crop changing, as in better fertilizer prices with natural gas down lower, and with prospects of a changing weather pattern coming up in March, and the best of anything, the price of the commodity alone, very enticing to put out multiple acres.
Interesting stuff. What about this wheat market here? It acts like it's kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Do you see much hope for that, or do you think we'll probably have to wait till February to get it to move?
It may be a little bit, but the one thing that we're kind of seeing is that the Indian wheat, Russian wheat, all of that is kind of calming down a little bit, and more wheat exports are being seen out of that region. So here in the U.S., we increased our wheat seedings here. We're getting some rain in the Midwest now. So I'm kind of perplexed that wheat's even plus on the day right now.
Interesting. Okay. Welcome back. And I know you follow the cattle market a lot, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Well, we're back with Chris Swift of Swift Trading in Nashville. Chris, I wanted to ask you about this livestock trade here. How are the packers running? How are the line speeds here this past week or so? Are they really running full tilt? Do they have room to accelerate even more or not? I just wondered. It seems like it's putting pressure here on the wholesale trade.
Yeah, the packing industry has lots of open space. We believe that the packing industry is running at a pace that keeps beef prices elevated as much as possible and keeps the cattle prices as low as possible. And they're trying to keep that margin for as long as they possibly can. So, yes, there is tremendous more packing capacity that could be utilized, but it's not, and there's really not that many more cattle out there to have to slaughter, because we continue to note that a large percentage of the slaughter right now is cows and heifers. So with that in the mix, we all understand that it's really bad right now, but it's probably going to get better in the future as we have fewer cattle to work with. Right now, unfortunately, it seems like the January marketings of stockers and feeder cattle is going to fill some holes that we thought might show up in May and June from lighter placements today.
So we're kind of quiet on the live cattle futures here this morning. The April contract, and that's where a lot of your volume is, that's up 37 cents is all at 160.47. That would put us about 40 cents away from our earlier high this morning. We're right in the middle of our trading range here so far. June live cattle now 35 higher at 157.15. On the feeders, you are higher here across the board. Kind of similar action. March feeders up 37. We're at 181.67. And the April contract about 32 higher now at 186.20. So pretty quiet over on the cattle complex, at least for the moment. And in a role reversal from yesterday, lean hogs are now lower. You have April down 137 at 86.75. Do you see continuing pressure in lean hogs or resumption of the downtrend or not?
Well, actually, yes, because the index is lower again. We're trading 74.18 down 16 on the index, and we understand that the futures settles to the index. So February is still currently trading a $3 premium and a $12 premium at April. So until the index stops going down, the futures have nothing to do but fall to the index.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad you explained that, and thank you for the time today, Chris. Always good to hear from you. Chris Swift of Swift Trading. He's based in Nashville. Suzanne, that's a look at the markets. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Marlin. Well, Farm Bureau proud. The American Farm Bureau is highlighting some of the farmers that make the group so successful. It's time to meet Jared Player.
My name is Jared Player. I serve on the American Farm Bureau Federation Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee. I'm from Henry County, Florida, and I'm a farm manager for U.S. Sugar. Here at U.S. Sugar, we produce about 8 million tons of sugar cane each year. This equates to about 800,000 tons of refined sugar. In addition to our sugarcane crop, we also produce over half of Florida's sweet corn crop. We do all of this on roughly 240,000 farmable acres. I'm Farm Bureau proud because this organization has provided the opportunities and resources to develop my leadership skills. Farm Bureau has helped me develop as a leader on a personal level, team and organizational level, as well as on a community level. Throughout my Farm Bureau experience, I've had the opportunity to meet some truly amazing people from across the country. Without Farm Bureau, I wouldn't be the leader I am today, and I surely wouldn't have made the lifelong friendships along the way. And that's why I'm Farm Bureau proud.
Well, Player manages more than 18,000 acres of farmland for the United States Sugar Corporation. Well, RFD-TV's new original series, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, Protecting the Wild, is here.